be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Dose. It is Friday, February 10th, and that means quote day. Quote day is here. And this week, I have a quote about courage from Nelson Mandela. And it goes like this: I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. And I think that's an important quote to recall, because a lot of times we go into these situations and we're like, man, I'm afraid I shouldn't go on, I shouldn't continue. And yesterday I talked about courage, and the truth about fear is we can't eliminate it. It'll never go away. You will always have moments of fear. Even today, after hundreds of episodes of doing interviews, if there's a guest that I'm really excited to have on, I have these moments of apprehension and this fear that I'm not fully prepared. I have this belief that I'm going to ask a dumb question or go the wrong direction or ruin a conversation because I'm not ready. But the truth is that I know my process at this point. I am prepared. I know what I'm going to ask. And in the case that I might have to go a different direction, I've done enough episodes now and enough interviews that I know how to follow up. And I have some questions in my bank that I can lean into if things start to go a different direction than I want it to. I can steer conversations better now. But still, that fear is there. But I have to have that courage to go into that fear anyway, to put myself out there and hit record, to start the journey. And I think that's an important lesson for all of us to understand, is that fear is normal. We're wired for fear. Hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, that fear kept us alive. And now, even though most situations aren't life and death, our brain doesn't understand that. We still believe that if I say something silly in front of you, that I might die. That's the response. That's the fear trigger. But in reality is, if I say something funny or something awful in front of you, if I stumble and I don't do a good job, my life will go on. You may stop listening. Honestly, maybe you'll keep listening. Maybe you like the fact that I'm not perfect, right? There are a lot of things in this world that cause fear. It's up to us to evaluate whether or not that fear is rational, and then to step into that fear and do it anyway. Now, if your life is on the line, or it's something like, hey, I have a fear of playing in traffic, that's probably a legitimate fear, and we probably shouldn't go play in traffic to stop that fear. That one we might want to hold off on. But a lot of those fears that we have are not real fears. They're not things that are going to kill us. They may embarrass us. They may make us feel uncomfortable. They may challenge us to step out of our comfort zone. But at the end of the day, if we don't do it well, we will not die. And I think that that's an important part of the evaluation process. And that's something that I tend to try to do is, what's the worst possible situation that can occur if I don't do this well? I'm feeling this fear. I'm not sure if it's going to be any good. I don't know if what I'm doing is going to be the right choice. And I'm feeling apprehensive. I ask myself, what's the worst possible outcome? Typically, it's not as bad as my mind is telling me it could be. But it's just another tip and another way to start to attack courage in your life, to start to be brave, to start to stand up in the face of fear. So the next time you face a moment where you find yourself unsure of the next step because you're feeling fear, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? If you get through that question and it's not so bad, take the step. Be brave. Be bold. Be courageous. You might like the outcome. Have a wonderful weekend. And as always, keep reaching for the stars. Fall flat on your face, but remember, whenever you fall, always get up. Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.